Oh, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into Fantasy Farm Sports. I am your host, Jack Stache. Welcome in on a Wednesday. Guys, before we get started today, I want to thank all of our new subscribers. We have made it past 65. We were at last week and we have crested to 73. So I just want to thank every single one of you guys for coming on here, doing me the great favor and growing our audience, right? We are at 73 subscribers. We are marching towards 100 here at fantasyfarmsports.com. Before we get started today, I also want to talk about our sponsors, because without our sponsors, we just come in here and talk and we don't get any recognition. So our sponsors, our Gridiron Man Cave helmet. Look how beautiful that is, right? You have the Fantasy Farm Sports logo there, and you twist it around. You got the mustache. Look at, we're dueling. It's like both of us, right? The mustache, my mustache, and then you come around to the opposite side, and you have Fantasy Farm Sports there. And as you go up the band, you get the logo there, and one more time on the back. It's actually fantastic. It's a work of art they put out there for gridironmancave.com. And there is talks right now that they're going to be trying to do a helmet for the people out here in Tampa Bay, right? Because Tampa Bay had a tough time with the hurricane, so they're trying to cultivate and contact that area to make a helmet for them, right? I don't know the exact details yet, but we will get you them as soon as we possibly can. All right, guys. What we came here to talk about today, not all wins are created equally, right? They're not. We want them to be, but they're really not, right? Some wins are better than others, and some losses, you didn't know what you were doing. You didn't look like it. You kind of went out there and you went through the motions, and you went out there with the best team possible. But at the end of the day, you were coached poorly, but you got the win, or you took a loss, but you were coached great. And that's what we're trying to highlight here today on our show. So as you see the ticker below you, it says Lions, Falcons, Buccaneers, and Packers. And I want to talk about the post-game locker room winning teams, right? It was shown by CBS. We all saw it in blips, but here's the real takeaway that I got, right? The 4-1 Lions absolutely pumped after destroying the Cowboys and Jerry Jones at home, right? Dan Campbell, he had them ready to play another game. That's how great Dan Campbell is as a motivator. Nice coach, makes mistakes at times. Sometimes his emotions get too much of him, right? Sometimes he's all heart, and he doesn't use some of the extra things that he doesn't use enough timeouts, or he uses too many, overthinks it. He's all heart. He's all 4th and 5 all the time, but they love him. And that's what's important. It's very important to have players that want to go to bat for you each and every single day. Moving on to our Falcons. That post-game locker room went crazy as well. Raheem Morris commented on the offensive line for all the rushing yards that they put up against the Carolina Panthers, and the team cheered. They went off. They love Raheem Morris. Raheem Morris did a fantastic job of pounding the Carolina Panthers into submission. And the Atlanta Falcons won. And Kirk Cousins was happy with that. He got some passing yards. Didn't have to do as much as he did against Tampa Bay. But the win's what matters. Atlanta moves to 4-2. How about our Tampa Bay Buccaneers, right? We talked about them off the jump here. Todd Bowles said there'll be a special game ball for the city of Tampa Bay and all the destruction they've gone through, right? The Buccaneers are going to donate a game ball. I'm sure they'll all sign it. And when they do, right, there'll be certain foundations and bidding and all those other things that happen. But that's what Todd Bowles' message was. Okay, it's not just us. It's the whole city of Tampa Bay. Team cheers. Buccaneers go to 4-2. Baker Mayfield wasn't too bad either. Moving on to Packers, right? Matt LaFleur led. He read all of the key stats. I thought that was different, right? All these coaches have done things differently, right? Dan Campbell biting kneecaps. Raheem Morris commented on the offensive line. Todd Bowles talked about that they're not only a football team, but they embody a city. They embody a city that has been beaten down by a couple storms lately, and he wanted the players to remember what they were about. The Packers' Matt LaFleur was reading off key stats while players cheered for each other's accomplishments on the battlefield after each recognition. Mike Johnson, you have 4 receptions, 32 yards, but you had 2 key blocks to win that down and that scrimmage and that. That's what Matt LaFleur was bringing forward. Cheers. Hey, you didn't have all the rushing yards you needed today, Jacobs, but you got a 3rd and 2 that was very important to sustain that drive. Bang, everybody cheers. They were wild in the Packers locker room. They loved LaFleur, reading off stats that mattered to win the game. It was huge in all of these instances. Campbell had them ready to go again. Raheem Morris commented the offensive line because, quite frankly, you can't do anything without one. Todd Bowles commented on the city. Matt LaFleur was going individual by individual, letting them know what they did right. And I thought that was fantastic. That's what real coaches do. The Lions, Falcons, Buccaneers, and Packers, you all have real coaches. Absolute winners. Fantastic locker room. If you're fans of these organizations, I'll tell you what. Go buy some jerseys. Go buy some memorabilia, right? Go to Gridiron Helmets and get yourself a Lions, a Falcons, Buccaneers, or Packers helmet. Go do that because those teams are not only well coached, they're fun to watch, and I promise you they'll be there at the end of this season. Now, as we came on today, we said there was 4 teams that deserve to be talked about, but we're going to talk about 5. And here comes the 5th team, the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles. Here's how their locker room went. 3-2. They beat the Cleveland Browns barely at home. Nick Sirianni was talking. Just talking. It felt like he was in a library. He was talking while Jalen Hurts sat there with his arms crossed, standoffish. He was talking about a tough win, and that's how men get things done. The whole locker room was silent. Not one explosion, not one exaltation, nothing. It was a library in Philadelphia. There wasn't players cheering. No one was pumped. They really didn't know why. Saquon Barkley stood in the background. He didn't understand the speech. Everybody kind of just moseyed around like somebody's dog got killed. That's how it felt in Philadelphia Eagles locker room. And why shouldn't it have been? Because while the game was going on, while the coaching should have been done, while the pats on the back should have happened in Philadelphia by Nick Sirianni, what was he doing? He was arguing with the fans. Some of the fans of Phillies, the Philadelphia fans can be passionate. I don't say they're arrogant. I don't say they're rude. They're passionate. It's what they have in Philly. Imagine the only thing that you had. Let's say the only thing you had was your dog, right? And you were walking it someday and somebody said something to you would stick up for your dog. You love them. It's all you have. And the fans in Philly have the Eagles only right now because they had the Phillies, but they have their sports teams. They're passionate. They're awesome fans. They really are. They're really awesome fans. And he decided to argue with them as they booed the team. Well, they booed the team because they weren't moving the ball against one of the worst teams in football, arguably the worst in the Cleveland Browns. Okay, then he tried to convince the players that he was a great leader. And this is what great men do. They win tough battles. Excuse me, you were battling with the fans who paid tickets to watch us play, and you're yelling at them. And then he wanted to address the media afterwards because he knew he was going to take some heat. Because that's what happens, right? The cameras are on you. You're a coach. You're a leader. You're supposed to be an adult. You were yelling at the fans. And what did you do at the press conference? You did the weakest thing any leader could have done after he made a mistake. Nick Sirianni brought his children to the press conference as to use them as a shield. He used his own kids as a shield so the media wouldn't ask him the tough questions about what he did on the sideline. How dare you? How could you do that? You put your kids in harm's way, right? Because you don't use your brain, right? What you did, now everybody, and I'm not saying anything's going to happen. Now everybody knows who your kids are. Why would you do that? You screamed at passionate fans and now let them know what your children look like. What a weak, worthless leader. I can't believe he did that. And he cursed 3 times on national TV with one of them in his lap. I mean, it's really embarrassing. It's embarrassing to him. It's embarrassing to the whole franchise. You know, when Andy Reid used to lose, and he did in Philadelphia at times. I know he's done plenty of winning over the years, but when he used to lose and the fans would boo at him, he would just take it. And afterwards, they would ask him, about the game. And he'd go, well, when I win, I have a cheeseburger and I relax. When I lose, I have a lot more work to do. So I have 2 cheeseburgers. I don't like to lose because it makes me a bigger guy. And he goes, so as my waist gets bigger, I know that I've taken too many losses recently. That was Andy Reid's way of deflecting what Philadelphia threw at him. Instead of wanting to rumble with one of the fans in the parking lot, he chose the higher ground. And Pete, by the way, Nick Sirianni's an Italian guy. I understand that the Italians are proud people, but they're proud because they're real, and they're real because they're truthful. Truthful Italians is what we love, right? We love hardworking, truthful Italians. No fugazis, no fakes, right? You guys know what a fake is. Everybody does, right? You could see them from a mile away. You're either the real deal or you're fugazi. And the fact of the matter is that not only does Philly know that Nick Sirianni is a fugazi, the fans know. Now you're out. Now you're in trouble. Because once those fans know, they will be pounding the table because they know they can get to you. The Lions have a real guy in Dan Campbell. Raheem Morris, he begged and pleaded for everybody to cheer for the offensive line, and he didn't need much of it. Todd Bowles and the Buccaneers, they're in the same ship. Matt LaFleur loves the players, and the players love him. The fact of the matter is that the Philadelphia Eagles won that game. Yes, they beat the Cleveland Browns. Woo! They beat the Browns. But it is clear to me that the coach, despite the win, has lost the city and has lost the locker room. Guys, I am Jack Stache from Fantasy Farm Sports. Give us a subscribe and a follow everywhere you possibly can. Every single person counts here. I will see you with our picks tomorrow before our big Thursday night game. Enjoy the rest of your day.